My name is Clara, and the man I loved for 10 years was my best friend. I thought he was going to be the man I would marry. But one evening he looked into my eyes and said, Clara, I'm getting married. And the woman he was marrying wasn't me. What I didn't know was that his wedding would uncover a secret that would destroy everything I believed about our friendship. So before you judge me, let me tell you what really happened. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Samiha's Storyland. My name is Clara and his name was Ethan. We met when we were 18. I was the quiet girl who always sat at the back of the library. Ethan was the boy who never knew how to be quiet. One afternoon, he dropped a book on my table and said, Can you help me with this? I looked at the book. You have been holding it upside down. He looked at it, then at me. Oh, I laughed. That was the first time I saw him blush. And somehow that silly moment became the beginning of the most beautiful and painful relationship of my life. Ethan became my best friend. We did everything together. He knew I hated roses but loved white lilies. He knew I couldn't sleep during thunderstorms. He knew I always pretended to be okay when I wasn't. And whenever I cried, he never asked what's wrong. He simply sat beside me. Sometimes he would hold my hand. Sometimes he had rested my head on his shoulder. And sometimes he had whispered, I am not going anywhere. Those words made me feel safe. Maybe too safe. Because somewhere between friendship and all those little moments, I fell hopelessly in love with him. But Ethan never said he loved me. Not directly. Instead, he said things like, Clara, you are the only girl I can be myself around. Or who else would understand me like you do? Or sometimes when we were sitting together late at night, if I ever get married, I want my wife to be my best friend. Every time he said it, I secretly wondered, could he mean me? Maybe he did. Maybe he was just waiting. So I waited too. One winter night, Ethan and I were driving home. Snow was falling outside. The car was quiet. Suddenly he stopped at a red light and looked at me. Clara, yes? Would you ever marry your best friend? I smiled. Maybe. He smiled too. Good. I looked at him. Why good? He looked away. Nothing. I laughed. You are weird. He smiled. Maybe. That night I went home convinced that someday Ethan would finally tell me how he felt. I didn't know. I was waiting for something that might never happen. Years later, Ethan met Olivia. She was beautiful, elegant, confident, and completely different from me. At first, Ethan told me they were just best friends. Then they started dating. And suddenly I wasn't the person he called first anymore. He became busy. His messages became shorter. Our late night conversations disappeared. And the worst part, whenever I asked if something was wrong, he said, Nothing, you are still my best friend. But I could feel him slipping away. One evening, Ethan came to my house. He looked nervous. I thought maybe tonight was finally the night. He sat beside me. Clara, yes, I need to tell you something. My heart started beating faster. He took a breath. I'm getting married. I smiled. That's wonderful. Then he said her name, Olivia. My smile disappeared. For a moment, I couldn't hear anything. I looked at him. You are serious? He nodded. When? 2 months. I forced myself to smile. Congratulations. He hugged me. And while his arms were around me, I silently cried. because the man I had secretly loved for 10 years had chosen someone else. That night I went into my room. I opened an old box. Inside were photographs, birthday pictures, college memories, tickets from our first trip, and a small piece of paper Ethan had written when we were 20. It said, "No matter what happens, Clara will always be my person." I stared at those words. Then I cried. Because I finally understood being someone's person doesn't always mean being their love. I decided not to attend the wedding. But 3 days before the wedding, Ethan came to my house. He looked angry. "Why aren't you coming?" I looked at him. "Because I don't think I belong there." "You are my best friend." I smiled sadly. "Exactly." He stared at me. Then he asked, "Is there something you are not telling me?" I almost told him. I almost said I love you, but I couldn't. I simply said, "I'm happy for you, Ethan." He looked at me for a long time. Then he whispered, "I wish you were," and he left. 2 days later, Ethan married Olivia. I watched the wedding pictures online. He looked happy. She looked beautiful. And I finally accepted that my story with Ethan was over. I cried that night. But the next morning I woke up and decided something. I wasn't going to spend my life waiting for someone who hadn't chosen me. I packed my bags. I accepted a job in another city. And I left. Without saying goodbye. 3 months passed. I didn't hear from Ethan. Then one night my phone rang. His name appeared on the screen. I stared at it. I almost didn't answer, but I did. "Hello?" There was silence. Then Ethan whispered, "Clara, what happened? I need to see you." "Why?" "I found something." My heart sank. "What?" He said, "The truth about why I married Olivia." We met the next evening. Ethan looked exhausted. He sat across from me. Then he placed an old envelope on the table. "Do you remember the night I asked you if you'd marry your best friend?" I nodded. That night, he took a deep breath. "I was going to tell you I loved you." I stared at him. "What?" I had planned everything. He looked into my eyes. "I was going to tell you that I had been in love with you for years." Tears filled my eyes. Then what happened? He looked down. "Olivia told me she was pregnant." I froze. "She told me the baby was mine." I couldn't speak. I thought I had to do the right thing. He swallowed hard. "So I married her," I whispered. "And now?" His eyes filled with tears. "Now I know the child isn't mine." My heart broke. Not because I wanted him back, but because I realized he had destroyed 3 lives because he was too afraid to face the truth. Then Ethan said something I will never forget. "I should have chosen you." I shook my head. "No." He looked surprised. "You shouldn't have chosen me." I wiped my tears. "You should have chosen the truth." He became silent. "You didn't lose me because you married her, Ethan." I looked directly into his eyes. "You lost me when you stopped being honest." He reached for my hand. I moved it away. "Clara, I loved you." He froze. "I loved you for years." His eyes filled with tears. "But I don't want you anymore." "Why?" "Because I don't want a love that begins with betrayal." He looked broken. I stood up. And before I left, I told him, "You were once my best friend. I will always remember the beautiful memories. But I refuse to let those memories decide my future." Then I walked away. This time, I didn't look back. Months later, I started a new life. I opened a small bookstore. The same kind of bookstore where Ethan and I used to spend our afternoons. But this time, I wasn't waiting for anyone. I was happy. And one rainy evening, a customer walked into my store. He picked up a book, then looked at me and smiled. "Excuse me, is this book any good?" I laughed. "You are holding it upside down." He looked at the book, then laughed. "Apparently, I need your help." I smiled. Maybe life was giving me another beginning. But this time I wasn't going to fall in love with someone because I was afraid of being alone. I was going to wait for someone who would choose me. Honestly, completely, without secrets, without lies, without making me wonder where I stood. And that's what Ethan taught me. Sometimes your first love isn't your forever love. And sometimes walking away isn't giving up on love. It's making room for the kind of love you actually deserve. Now tell me honestly, if you were Clara and your best friend finally confessed that he had loved you all along but married another woman because of a secret, would you give him one more chance? Or would you say, "You had my heart once, but after betrayal, you no longer deserve it"? What would you do if the person you loved most came back after heartbreaking your heart? Tell me in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to my channel Samiha Storyland.